Check podcasts.
Welcome to House Guests. One of my favorite topics to talk to you about is home design. As you know, I'm an interior designer in my day job and do all of the media stuff on the side. But one of the things that I love the most about interior design is artwork. It's what ties a space together, it's what makes it unique, and often it's the jumping out off point and inspiration for a project. I've got an amazing artist here with us today who's local in Victoria. I've followed her for a very long time, and I love her work. Laura, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I feel so honored to have you here today. You're so amazing and you're so talented, and I just love you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
It's funny because your art is so unique that when you walk into a space, very often with trend on check, I'll get to go to all of these fancy homes on the water, amazing, stunning new builds. And what do I see? Lo and behold, front and center, a Laura Harris.
I feel like sometimes I'm haunting a lot of Victoria.
No, it's
Hopefully in a
amazing.
good way.
And it's awesome because your paintings are so vibrant and modern, and they really just tie a space together and really speak to the viewer and the audience in the home.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. Thank you.
So
Yeah, I've been here in Victoria for I've lived here all my life, but
you
I've
were
been
born
painting.
here?
Yeah, I'm fourth generation actually,
Oh,
Victoria.
wow.
So yeah, been here a while. And I've been painting though professionally for close to 25 years.
Wow.
So over that time, my work, it's amazing how it's got its own life out there.
And it's changed and evolved and grown with you?
Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, definitely.
So what would we see in an original like 20 years ago Laura Harris compared to today? How are does it sort of change and evolve with where you're at in life?
I think at the time you don't know that that's happening, but it's certainly true. Looking back, you can see, okay, that's what was happening then. And it's clear that this was going on then. And,
Yeah.
but I would say, generally speaking, when I first started painting, it was very bright colors, very whimsical, very
Mhm.
childlike almost. Sometimes I'd even use my left hand, and they were I did my houses and sticky jam fingers and all of this sort of stuff. And that was before I had my daughter,
Right.
ironically. After I had her, everything got very serious. So
Really?
things got deeper, things got far more emotional, things really changed. So that was, I think, for people who know my work and maybe have one of those, really bright colored houses that are around Victoria.
Mhm.
Um, when you see my work now, um, it's just deeper and a little more serious. Yeah, I can still play around. I still
Yeah.
have fun. But no, that's the biggest difference over the years for sure, generally. Yeah.
And I find a lot of them are very emotional and they really speak
Yeah.
to you and they have a lot of the dark, moody sort of tones to them and such. But then a lot of vibrant color as well in some of them and so much texture.
I love texture. I'll work on a piece and build up the layers, layer after layer. Because even when I first started, I would get, like when I was a teenager, I used to use house paint.
Oh,
And
wow.
I would put a layer on and then dry it with a hair dryer and wait for it to crack and then pull it off. And I was just always experimenting to get more and more texture. And then that's when I started playing around with putting papers in it and lots of multimedia and just, mixed media and just experimenting. It was all about the texture. Yeah.
And you experiment a lot with your own artwork and you're a professional artist now, but you also do a lot of instruction as well for new artists or novices or intermediates so that they can kind of try new things and play around too.
Yes. So we do, I say we because it's me and a team.
Yeah.
We call them painting retreats, but they're Painting is we actually do paint,
Yes.
but it's really about going to beautiful places for a weekend with amazing people and gathering and laughing and feeding your soul in a way that makes you want to create something.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, I love doing that. And then I teach people just really basic skills to get them going and very
Mhm.
simple sort of stuff that they can use and incorporate it in their work, even if they've never touched a brush before, never touched a canvas. I love teaching people that have no experience at all.
Well, I know
That's one
one
thing.
of my really good friends recently did one of your retreats, and she came back so inspired and just filled with ideas and life and was just completely rejuvenated from the retreat.
That's I think, when I first started doing retreats about, I think it was about 14 years ago now. It's been a while. And when I wasn't ever interested in teaching, traditional teaching,
Right.
because I'm not a formally trained artist. And I felt like I just didn't come naturally to me. So um, I had been asked to do a retreat, to host a retreat. And
Mhm.
so when I was trying to pull it together and trying to imagine and envision what it would look like, what came to mind was uh, really creating an environment where people feel um, rejuvenated. Yeah, where they can actually feel looked after. They
Oh,
feel like,
and their hearts are
nestled
full
in.
afterwards.
They really are. So for
Yep.
me, that's good music, really good nourishing food,
Mhm.
amazing company in a beautiful environment. So it really feels rare and special.
Mhm.
And it's sort of what you never knew you needed
Yeah.
in many ways. And so yeah, the feedback, the experiences we have, and then the feedback we get afterwards is always, it's amazing.
Let's talk about some of these amazing locations that you've had the retreats in. Where have you gone?
We gone in my backyard.
Right, right, which is a full
Everywhere but
experience.
yeah, we've done them in the Lake District in Northern Ontario. We've done them in the Cascade Mountain region on this old ranch. We've done them in Whistler. We've done them in San Miguel del Allende. We've done them
Mhm.
so in Mexico. We've done them in Italy. We're doing one next year in South Africa, and
Wow.
it's it's really been amazing.
That's
Yeah.
really filling up your bucket list, like checking off all the boxes just from one event.
It's amazing for me because, you know, I yes, I'm working, if you can call it that, but
Mhm,
I get to travel and I get to travel with the most amazing people. And I put together a team, or we work with really amazing, talented chefs when we're traveling. And so
mhm.
it's not only a painting experience, but a culinary experience. So we're eating and drinking and dancing and painting. And it's really cool.
That sounds amazing to me.
Yeah, it's good. You should come. You
I
come.
would love to come. Just have to be able to get some time off.
Yeah, we'll see.
So when you're doing paintings, because you do commissions as well as, sell things in your studio and all of that, where do you sort of start? Do you start with an inspiration or do people sort of, give you some information? How does that process start?
Well, for the commissions, I definitely gather information, as
Mhm.
much information as possible,
Yep,
and including how the light's working in your environment, whether it's going to be in direct light or
yep.
not. And so, and I also love to see how a room works because that might affect the balance of your painting. So, when I'm working with a client, and I love doing that, and I
Yes.
actually really love going to visit a home and painting a painting for a specific
Right.
space after seeing it and meeting the people, that adds a whole other element to it, which is I had no idea was so important, but it
Mhm.
it does. It makes
Yeah.
a difference to the paintings when you get to see who you're making it for and how they're living in their space.
Yes.
So you must get that, right?
Oh, absolutely. I am constantly encouraging my clients to number one, invest in original artwork, pieces that they love, that they'll love forever, and that can really tie together an entire space.
Yeah, and working with clients, you must see a whole when people might say they want something and then you meet them and see them and you're like, "Well, I don't think they want
Yeah.
that."
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people want things because they're trendy as opposed to really things that they're passionate about that they that speak to them and who they
Yeah.
are. And I
Yeah.
think that's so important to be choosing something that really reflects their tastes and visions.
Yeah. For sure.
Hmm.
Yeah. So when I'm working with a commission, there's um, sort of an expectation, but I also make it clear that because my work is very in the moment and
Yep.
very, there's a lot of happenstance involved. And then I'm lucky because I get to work on my own work and
Hmm.
what inspires me. So there's the commission based work, and then there's my gallery based work,
Yes.
which I've been really lucky with my partnerships with my gallery partners because they've all been very long relationships.
Hmm.
And through the years, they've always been really supportive of me experimenting and trying new things and, um, you know, evolving into,
Yes.
because it's ever changing for me. I'm not a formulaic artist. I like
Hmm.
to paint what I want to paint. And they've been encouraging and supportive of that, which is really, I'm really lucky that way.
I love that. And then it's probably also helped get your artwork out over the entire world because I know that, you're kind of international now.
I am. Yeah.
So exciting.
Actually, Whistler was a big game changer for me. So I've been with the Whistler Gallery for over 20 years. I think we're going on
Wow.
22 years.
Hmm.
And that really changed my work. And that was right at the point where I had, quit my day job, so to speak, and was painting full time.
Right.
And that's when my work started to go everywhere.
Yes.
It was like a hub, an international hub.
What did that feel like when you were able to just do what you love for your living?
Well, it's amazing.
It's kind of a pivotal moment though, right?
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So I never thought I would be an artist though. That's the interesting thing. It's
Really?
sort of, yeah,
Oh, wow.
I know. So I was a graphic designer. I went to Camosun, and I was always a painter for
Yeah.
myself. I grew
Yes.
up, my dad taught me to paint. He was my first teacher. And doing crafts and stuff. But I loved it, but I
Mhm.
didn't think that that's what I would do. In fact, my high school art teacher is most shocked that I am.
Well,
um,
look at you now.
exactly. He's like, "You're doing what? Who?" And so anyway, I I just started painting when I first got my first apartment.
Mhm.
I started painting for the walls for myself just to make the walls look good, to have some real art on the walls. And and then a friend of mine asked if I wanted to do a show in her place downtown. And then one thing led to another, and I was painting all the time, and then people started to want them. And
Yeah.
then a close friend and artist of mine opened a little place on Harold Street,
Mhm.
and so we shared the space there, and I started painting more and more. And then it just evolved to the point where I had to shut down my design. I had a little graphic design business that specialized in corporate identity. I worked with software clients and
Wow.
government communications and stuff, and I loved it. But
Yes.
the paintings started to compete. And so, yeah, to just go, I'm going to do this full time
And
was
take
an
that plunge.
amazing. Yeah. Yeah. It was an amazing experience, actually, just that feeling to do it. It was scary, but it was amazing.
Yes. And you've had all that support along the way from the galleries and such. How's your family been, like your daughter and such, for your support? Is she your biggest cheerleader?
Oh, she is. Yeah. And my dad and my mom, like
Yes.
old school cheerleader.
Yes.
Um, but no, I have tremendous support. And obviously, I couldn't do it without that kind of support. Like
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Does your
My
daughter
daughter's an
paint?
artist too. Yeah, she's painting right now. She's got a little studio set up
Oh,
upstairs.
that's so
She's 20
exciting.
now. So
Yes.
but no, she paints almost every day.
And has her own style, or is it kind
Yes,
of does she
definitely.
learn from you, or
Um, I would say it's hard for her to learn from me.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I can see mothers and daughters have a very unique relationship.
yeah. Like, "You want me to do what? Oh, I'm gonna do something completely
Yeah,
opposite." No, she has her own style and her own way of doing things, and always has.
that's so cool.
And she has an amazing, a very, distinct style about her work. It's illustrative,
Mhm.
even in her painting style, it's illustrative, and it's beautiful, yeah.
That's so
It's
cool.
young and hip, it's way cooler than mine.
But it must be really nice growing up with that inspiration and just having the art and the color and such around you your entire life.
For sure. She grew up with, music always playing and
Hmm.
me in the backyard with my studio doors open. And she would just, pull her pens and paper and
Hmm.
paints and just be on the lawn. And yeah, she was always around and painting with me.
Let's talk about your studio for a second because you
Yeah.
have a great studio space right at your home there where you can be just working away and inspired. And do you just leave it and then come back to things? Like, how long even does art take, like when your paintings take to do?
It depends on the painting. Some are magical and come together like
Hmm.
the best gift, and then others do not.
Yeah.
Um, so it's like any kind of creative endeavor.
Hmm.
Some you have to work at. So, but I would say, inside of a month, 3 weeks to a month,
Oh, wow.
these will be done. So, but I
Mhm.
work on 3 or 4 at one time because my paintings are so layered.
Right.
I'll work up on one and then I'll put it aside and I'll sort of rotate another one up and I'll work on that and I'll put it aside. So, um, yeah, and I'm lucky to have the studio space here, especially during this last couple of years. It's
Right.
been really seamless in terms of my work. So
Well, and some
I'm
of your pieces are ginormous as well. So you need a
are
nice big space.
yeah, yeah.
What's the
Oh,
largest
I
painting that you've done?
what's the largest one?
Yeah.
Um, I did one years ago that I had to use my daughter's swing set outside
Oh, wow.
as a makeshift easel, and I think that was 12 feet by 8 feet.
Wow. Was that
Um,
going in a commercial space or residential?
it was residential
Wow.
for a big like
I
stair
love it.
entranceway, and it took up the whole wall.
Yeah.
But recently, I just did a beautiful, very cool abstract for a client in Calgary, and it was 9 feet, 7 feet by 9 feet.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was the latest big one that I just did. I
And I
loved
think
it so much.
that's one of my favorites too. I saw you post that recently on Instagram and it's stunning.
Yeah, it was so fun to work on. I would work big all the time if I could. It's just the best feeling. Yeah, it's good.
Well, I'm so lucky I have 2 of your paintings hanging in my house right
You
now.
do.
And I
Yes,
have
you
to say,
do.
every day I just stand there and I'm just staring at them, and you see something different every time you look at them because they just have so much going on and so many layers with all the texture and such. It is just so cool.
I love that. No, it's good. I think they have a life of their own. They have a little soul of their own. And if
Yes.
you've seen my work, just pictures of it over the years to for anybody who hasn't seen it live, when you do, and then especially when you get to live with it in different lights at night, that piece in particular
Yes,
has a very cool energy because
it
that green
does.
just lights up. Yeah,
Yes.
that one's a cool piece.
And even too, I think, the one over the fireplace is more of a matte finish, and the one
Yes.
in the family room has this beautiful gloss to it. So like you said, in the different lights, it just sort of has a great sheen and adds more to it, and they
Yeah.
just come alive.
Yeah. And it looks fabulous in that space. It's like just meant to be.
Yes, yes. And so when it comes to design and scale and all that too, I think it's super important that people shouldn't be scared to go really big in their space
Oh,
because some walls just are screaming for it.
yes. I think that is often, and you have to balance it because you don't there's a budget always to work with,
Right, yes.
obviously, but you know, budget aside, I'm always pushing people to go bigger,
Yes.
because they so often I'll see like a little framed painting on this beautiful big wall, and
Yes.
it just brings so much soul to a room. It
Mhm.
just will it just, lights it up in a way that, it's just yeah, it's pretty cool.
It almost acts as like another window or door to
Yes.
another era, or another it just it opens up the space so much and
Mhm,
creates the entire look.
mhm. No, I think, um, what made me so happy about working with the client in Calgary that I was just talking about with the big piece, she kept using the term museum style, and it was
Right,
for her dining room, and honestly, like her ceilings were 10-foot ceilings. I
right.
think they were 10, maybe more. But the painting there was only a foot at the top, a foot at the bottom, and only 6 inches on the sides. Like it took up that whole space. So it was so grand.
Mhm.
When you came in, it felt like a museum piece, like those beautiful big pieces that just blow you away. So
And you just
yeah,
get lost in them almost.
I do. It's breathtaking design. It's amazing.
So we're
Yeah.
talking a lot about the big pieces, but you had a great collection of little pieces too over COVID that were so cool.
Yeah. My little watercolors.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because I got a little, I just wasn't feeling quite right one day. Like in my head, I was just feeling a little bit maybe sad about what's going on in the world.
Yeah, fair
And
enough.
because that definitely affects your work. And I was very busy over COVID, and I
Mhm.
was working on this one commission. And it was one morning, it was early, I was in the studio, and I actually didn't want to work on the painting, the commission,
Mhm.
because I was feeling this sort of, I just wasn't feeling quite right.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm just going to play around for a little while. So I grabbed my watercolors and I sat down and I started to do it. And it changed my whole mood. I just turned the
Oh,
music
wow.
on, and there was no expectation. It was just really free and really little. And I just kept kind of doing them. And then it became a routine. So I used to do them every morning for quite a
Oh,
while there.
I love
And
it.
yeah, it was so much fun, but they're a complete departure from what I normally do. Yeah.
And I love that, being able to
Watercolor.
see the different moods of Laura Harris and where you were at during your pieces.
Yeah, it's wild.
So what's next for you, Laura?
Well, September we're going to our retreat, which kicks off in Puglia. So as far as retreats go, we're super stoked about that. So Pete and I are gonna fly down with our partners in Estera, and we're meeting 14 people down there with a chef, um, and some great local people. And we're gonna have long table dinners in fields and paint all day and travel around. And yeah, it's gonna be amazing. Then we go to Lucca after that at the
Yeah,
beginning of October.
amazing.
And as far as my work, I just hope to keep pushing boundaries. I think
Yeah,
for myself, that's the most important thing going forward, for not to get stuck in any recipe or formulaic
mhm,
approach to my work. I want to keep really experimenting, and I'm not done yet. I'm gonna
I
keep
love it,
keep
love it.
expanding and keep changing. Yeah.
And where can people follow along with all of your adventures?
So I've got an Instagram account that's probably the most current. I've got a website. Obviously, if you just Google Laura Harris Artist, you'll find my website, and I have a mailing list there. I keep people updated on things, but my Instagram, Laura Harris Studio, is up to date. I think that would be it. Would that be it? Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being with us today, and it
Thank
was so great
you.
to get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you.